Tucked away in the very northwest of our county, right next to the border with Scotland, are the oldest rocks in Northumberland. Perhaps the best place to see them is at the head of the River Coquet. Yes, it's a long way from anywhere, but what a beautiful winding drive up a single-track valley road from Orwinton. Well, we didn't choose the driest day to come and see the oldest rocks in Northumberland, but any day in the Coquet Valley is a good day. There's a car park 500 metres east of Blindburn, and we'll start our walk from there, head up the hill and come back via the valley. Remember to stay north of the river and the Ministry of Defence live firing range. There are plenty of flags and notices to remind everyone. Climbing up the grassy shoulder of the ridge onto Deal's Hill, we are walking on volcanic rocks. Geologists identify them as tuffs and rhyolite and andesite lavas, material ejected from volcanoes in the Devonian period, about 400 million years ago. There's not much of any sort of rock to see yet, just steep-sided rounded hills dissected by many narrow valleys. Why is that? Well, these rocks are old and deeply weathered, and in the last 2 million years the Cheviot Hills have had their own ice caps and sets of small glaciers. Hopefully your day will be much brighter and you will be able to take in the views. If you do this walk in springtime, you'll hear curlews and skylarks, whatever the weather, and if it's warm you may even see an adder. I also hope you'll be as lucky as we were and see the wild Cheviot goats. This is a remote piece of England, perhaps the most remote, and these feral primitive animals have been wandering around here since the time of Stone Age man. After that bit of zoology, and before we return to some geology, we've got some outstanding archaeology. The Roman camps and fort at Chew Green, the Roman road at Deer Street, and a medieval village called Kemmelpeth. I know what you're thinking. When will we get to see Northumberland's oldest rocks? Well, as we return down the valley, half a kilometre east of Mackendon and beside a bridge over the Coquet, at last a piece of real bedrock, the oldest rocks in the county. By now it was so wet and windy that we're going to need subtitles here.
Here we are, oldest rocks in Northumberland, 430 million years old, from the Silurian period. They're really ill-sorted sandstones and mudstones, and they were formed at the edge of a continental shelf by massive, huge submarine slides.
500 metres further downstream, and there's another large rocky outcrop just above the river. This is a special site for geologists, and one of the most important rocky places in Northumberland, because this is where you can see the earliest Devonian volcanic rocks, sitting on top of those older deep ocean Silurian sandstones. An unconformity they call it, and it's a very significant one. If you're with a geologist, when you visit here, make sure you watch them. They'll be smiling. Time for a last bit of rocky fun. Not that we were able to do it, because the river was in spate. But if you go searching the pebbles in the shingle banks of the river downstream, you might just find one of these. It's an agate. The Cheviot Hills lavas had gas bubbles in them that filled up with quartz of different colours. Now wouldn't that make a great end to a day in a very special part of Northumberland?